Katherine Duran. She's going to speak about the Constitution. She's an expert on the Constitution. So let's hear it for Katherine Duran.
Hi, thank you. Okay, I'm no Travis Allen or Annie Cyrus or Josh Coleman or any of our other wonderful speakers, but I would really like to have everybody's ear because it's not that I'm anything special, but what I'm talking about is special. It actually is irreplaceable. Thank you so much. Do you have a lid? Yeah, because I don't want to. Thank you. So, thank you all for having me. And so, if I can get everybody to pay attention, will you please raise your hand only if you think government is completely out of control? Is there anyone who thinks that government is not completely out of control? Okay, so logically, what's the next question? What do we do about it, right? So let's unite first. That's the name of our event. It's Let's Unite first. We're not going to buy into the divisiveness that it's all about the liberals and the hate hate narrative of the perpetuated by the media, and like it's all their fault, right? It's all their fault. Well, because unity means not just singing to our own choir, but pointing fingers at them. We don't want to point fingers at them. We want to recruit them. Because we need a solution for America, not one side pitted against the other. And I wondered if that would sound naive. But I want to tell you, it's not naive at all. It's mercy. Because unfortunately, I wanted to say, united we stand, divided we fall. So if we're going to stay separated, we are going to crash and burn, as if we haven't already. So the thing is, if we had been teaching the Constitution for the last 150 or so years, we would already have the solution, because it hasn't changed since the founders ratified the Constitution in 228 years ago. But we handed over to our government the education of its master. So America has been deliberately, methodically dumbed down. In fact, there's a great book that you can download for free on the internet, and it's aptly named The Deliberate Dumbing Down of America. So why would they do that? Because government cannot control an informed citizenry. We all of us, left, right, center, I don't care what stripe you are, what level of government you are, we all are the product of the deliberate dumbing down of America. Out of this pool of ignorance, we elect our representatives. And I'm not going to be making any friends there, so in a good way to our present company. But do they take office and then suddenly they become proficient in the Constitution and the principles that they didn't study, but they nevertheless swore an oath to support and defend and properly apply? No. So think of the Constitution as, and our current system of government, as two different operating systems. Okay? One is perfect and coveted by everyone. The other is an imposter. The government we now have has no relationship to the Constitution. They literally do not speak the same language. So today I have a little Constitution speed class for you. Ready? Okay. Okay, so The Simpsons is the longest running show on TV. I think as of today, it's 27 years, 6 months, and 22 days. You can check it out. So put them up if you can name all 5 members of the Simpson family. What? Put your hands up if you can name all 5 members of the Simpsons family. Is anybody listening? Because I'm talking about the Constitution here. How many people can name all 5 members of the Simpsons family on TV? 26 years. Okay, great. Now, will you please put your hand up if you can name all 5 provisions of the First Amendment? Constitution has been the supreme law of the land for 229 years, 9 months, and 22 days. One more. Which came first, the state or the federal government? Okay, right on, right on. We got some people who know. If you don't know your contract, how do you know when it's being violated? So, okay, I'll be honest. We don't have time for a full lesson here, obviously. We've got a few minutes here. But at the end, I'm going to give you some, I'm going to give you some places to go and check out so that you can fill in all the gaps. But please remember this quote. No legislative act contrary to the Constitution is valid. No law repugnant to the Constitution can be valid. It is null and void. It is without force. It does not exist. So I want to ask you real quick, SB 277, SB 18, a bunch of the ones that, that our other speakers were mentioning, too many for me to remember. But all of these unlawful laws, these are unlawful laws. What happens, wait a minute, I'm sorry. I'm going to go back to my lesson here. Follow me. The Declaration of Independence says, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. Rights are not gifts of government, they are constitutions. They are granted by our Creator. A right means you need no permission. Privilege is what some higher power, something that you can do that you receive permission from a higher power. You may have permission one day, and the next day it may be revoked. We, the people, have rights, and we, the people, grant government certain privileges. And we can take those privileges back anytime we have the courage to do it. The Constitution reads, we, the people, in order to form a more perfect union, here is the document that creates that union. This is the supreme law that defines everything that there is to know about the federal government. If it's in this law, they must do it. If it's not in this law, they are forbidden. So I want to ask you, how many laws can you think of that are not aligned with the Constitution? So this is the order of power. God created the people created the state, and the state created the federal government. In that order. The state does not answer to the federal government. So one of the things that we need to realize about that too is that the President of the United States, and I like him, I love him dearly, but unfortunately he is doing unconstitutional things. That may not get a lot of likes, but we can't look to the President of the United States to fix our things local, because that is the role of our local and state government. That is what we pay them for. So who's the boss? We, the people, are the boss of the government, not the other way around. The only legitimate reason for any government to even exist is to secure the rights of the people, to secure and defend the life, liberty, and property of the people. And now, why isn't that working? And then I just kind of wonder, if we have another flip of the balance of power, is God going to become subject to the people or just the government? So all governmental power derives from the people. So why is the government so out of control? Because it's completely ignored by the government and by its master, we the people. There are no degrees of constitutionality. If an act of government is one part unconstitutional, it is 100% unlawful and illegal. So, is it okay with you if is it okay with you if government behaves constitutionally most of the time? Or, my legislator votes, constitutionally 95% of the time. Is that okay with you? No, it's not okay. Because 5% unconstitutional is 100% illegal. So that is a heinous crime. It is the murder of American liberty. I want you to be angry. I want you to be outraged when I tell you this stuff, but I only want you to stay angry for a minute because I really want you to join us. Approximately all of what government currently does is unconstitutional. When unlawful legislation is passed, like SB 277, the vaccine law, by the Constitution and the Supreme Court, it must be ignored. It does not exist. When we run out and ask our legislators to author new law to mitigate it, or we go and we testify about all the badness of the bill and all the bad outcomes that could happen from that bill, and do things to try to fix it, then what we've done is we've taken a law, a bill, a non-law law, that by the law of the land, by our Constitution, again, all laws at every level of government, everywhere in this country, must be pursuant to the Constitution. So when we have legislation that is unconstitutional, and it is egregiously unconstitutional, or it's 5 or it's 1% unconstitutional, it must be ignored. Because when we pay attention to it and we protest it and we talk about the little details about what's going on in the bill, what we do is we give credence to something that doesn't exist. It's absurd. It is an absurd bill. It is repugnant to the Constitution, and it doesn't exist. So when we do those things, the minute that ink hits the paper, the minute that you open your mouth to beg your legislators to not pass that bill, you have made something that doesn't exist. The only thing that gives these statutes any force is the mistaken belief that they have any. They do not apply if you withdraw your consent and do not participate. Our schools are the delivery system for indoctrination and poison bodies of our children. Our school board's protecting us. They appropriate tax dollars. Are they protecting you, or are they protecting your children? If you know anything at all about Agenda 21, I promise you they do not. When the Constitution is ignored, it's a crime. What do we do with criminals? We heard what we do with criminals. We heard from a couple of our speakers what we do with criminals. But instead, what we're doing is we wait to vote them out. Why are we doing that? That's absurd. It's inappropriate. When the state and local government servants violate their solemn promise to defend the people from tyranny and become the very authors of it, they are accountable to we the people, personally. And I don't mean a good talking to. I got just a couple minutes. If a nation expects to be ignorant and free in a state of civilization, it expects what never was and never will be. It's Thomas Jefferson. And finally, the committees of safety. All 56 signers of the Declaration of Independence were members of committees of safety. Restoration of these committees was imperative if we expect to return the democracy back to a republic. If you're not already familiar with the county committees of safety, don't feel bad. It was scrubbed from our history and our education. We address this problem by guiding the liberty rehab, that's what I'm calling it, of our public servants and of the people. With knowledge of the truth, you can be effective, and you will never look at government or the news media ever the same again. There's only one way to lawfully, peacefully, properly restore the Constitution and American liberty, and that's by enforcement of the supreme law and consequences for its abuse. There are many misguided efforts in competition for destruction of our Constitution. If you've heard anything about the Article 5 Convention of States, some people may be in favor of that, many people are opposed. It is a competition for the deconstruction of our Constitution, and life will never be the same. This is a full-blown emergency. The oath of office, hang on. So sworn public servants of America, at every level, be on notice. If you are not constitutionally proficient, you may not serve in our government. If you've sworn an oath to support and defend the Constitution, never having read it, that's fraud. And you are a domestic enemy. If you've made a solemn promise to gain our trust, knowing the Constitution full well, But just because that's just not the way things go these days, you disregard or circumvent it, that's treason. You are domestic enemy. The oath of office is a solemn promise in exchange for our trust. That trust is broken. Government cannot claim ignorance of the law. You are presumed to know the law, and ignorance is no excuse. So, Patriots, join us in American restoration, starting in California. Because I wanted to say, you know, as California goes, so goes the rest of the country. And if we're not for messed up legislators and politicians and government and regulations and, you know, difficulties, who in their right mind would ever leave this paradise? So let's be very... I got one more. Thomas Jefferson said, when the people fear the government, there's tyranny. I'm almost done. When the government fears the people, there's liberty. Let's work together for restoration. So here's what we can do. Go to YouTube and type in COSBB. Watch the lesson there. Go to the links provided in the video. You might recognize the second voice on the video. And on Facebook, go to Sacramento County Committee of Safety. We're starting it here in California. My name is Katherine O'Neill Duran, and I thank you very much for your time. And I'm on Facebook too. Cyrus or Josh Coleman or any of our other wonderful speakers, but I would really like to have everybody's ear because it's not that I'm anything special, but what I'm talking about is special. It actually is irreplaceable. Thank you so much. Do you have a lid? Yeah, because I don't want to. Thank you. So, thank you all for having me. And so, if I can get everybody to pay attention, will you please raise your hand only if you think government is completely out of control? Is there anyone who thinks that government is not completely out of control? Okay, so logically, what's the next question? Because we need a solution for America, not one side pitted against the other. And I wondered if that would sound naive. But I want to tell you, it's not naive at all. It's mercy. Because unfortunately, I wanted to say, united we stand, divided we fall. So if we're going to stay separated, we're going to crash and burn, as if we haven't already. So the thing is, if we had been teaching the Constitution for the last 150 or so years, we would already have the solution, because it hasn't changed. What do we do about it, right? So let's unite first. That's the name of our event. It's Let's Unite first. We're not going to buy into the divisiveness that it's all about the liberals and the hate narrative of the perpetuated by the media, and like it's all their fault, right? It's all their fault. Well, because unity means not just singing to our own choir, but pointing fingers at them. We don't want to point fingers at them. We want to recruit them.
Katherine Duran, she's going to speak about the Constitution. She's an expert on the Constitution. So let's hear it for Katherine Duran.
Yeah, Katherine!
Hi, thank you. Okay, I'm no Travis Allen or